The ultimatum. The crystalline towers of the Galactic Council's central station gleamed against the backdrop of a dying star, its light casting long shadows through the assembly hall where representatives of 1,000 worlds gathered. At the center of this magnificent chamber, Supreme Arbiter Korthax stood motionless, his obsidian exoskeleton reflecting the holographic star maps that surrounded him. For 3 millennia, the Council had maintained order across the galaxy through a simple principle: submit or be eliminated. Today, they would deliver that same message to humanity. Marcus Rivera adjusted his simple gray suit as he entered the grand hall, his footsteps echoing against the polished floor that seemed to stretch into infinity. Unlike the other species present with their elaborate ceremonial armor, bioluminescent robes, or crystalline shells, Marcus looked almost comically underdressed. He carried nothing but a small data pad and wore a slight smile that seemed permanently etched on his weathered face. The other delegates whispered among themselves, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of clicks, harmonics, and pheromone releases. The humans had been spacefaring for barely 300 years, infants by galactic standards. Yet they had spread across 68 star systems without Council permission, establishing colonies with reckless abandon and refusing all attempts at diplomatic contact until now. Korthax's voice resonated through the chamber, amplified by the acoustic design that made even whispers carry with perfect clarity. Ambassador Rivera of Earth, you stand before the Galactic Council to hear our terms. Your species has violated 17 separate mandates regarding unauthorized expansion, refused integration protocols, and developed technologies without proper oversight. The Council has been patient, but that patience has reached its end. Marcus nodded pleasantly as if Korthax had just commented on the weather. I appreciate the Council taking time from their busy schedule to meet with us. Earth sends its regards. The casual response caused a ripple of confusion through the assembly. Protocol demanded either immediate submission or defiant rejection. This cordial indifference was unprecedented. Advisor Threnix, a serpentine being whose scales shifted through spectrum humans couldn't perceive, slithered forward. Perhaps the human does not understand the gravity of the situation. Ambassador Rivera, your world faces complete annihilation if you refuse our terms. We offer integration into the Council, protection under our military forces, and access to approved technologies. In exchange, you will cease all unauthorized expansion, submit your military command to Council oversight, and restrict your technological development to Council-approved pathways. Marcus typed something on his datapad, still smiling. I'm making note of your terms for our records. Please continue. The Council members exchanged glances. No species had ever taken notes during an ultimatum before. Korthax's patience wore thin. There is no negotiation here, human. You have 72 of your hours to comply. Our fleet of 800 vessels awaits your response at the edge of your home system. Each ship carries weapons that can crack planets like eggs. Your primitive nuclear weapons and projectile-based defenses will be useless against our energy shields and plasma cannons. 72 hours, Marcus repeated, tapping his datapad. That's very generous of you. Though I should mention, we won't need that long. Earth has already prepared its response. Before anyone could react, Marcus touched his datapad, and every holographic display in the chamber switched to show Earth's solar system. But something was wrong with the image. Where the Council's surveillance had shown a modest defensive fleet of 200 ships just days ago, there now appeared to be thousands of objects scattered throughout the system. What trickery is this? Demanded Threnix. Marcus's smile widened slightly. No trickery. We've been busy since your last scan. See, humans have this saying, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. We've been preparing since we detected your first probe entering our space 15 years ago. The displays zoomed in on one of the objects. It appeared to be a massive structure made primarily of ice and rock, with metal framework holding it together. It looked like someone had hollowed out an asteroid and turned it into a ship. Those are asteroids, Korthax stated flatly. You've weaponized asteroids. Oh, not just asteroids, Marcus replied cheerfully. Comets too. Even some of Jupiter's smaller moons. We're quite resourceful when motivated. Each one is equipped with something we call a stellar compression engine. Fascinating technology, really. We discovered it by accident while trying to create more efficient fusion reactors. The temperature in the room seemed to drop as the implications set in. Minister Jalith, whose species prided themselves on their advanced technology, leaned forward. Stellar compression is theoretical. The energy requirements alone would be impossible for a species at your development level. Marcus shrugged. That's what we thought too. Then one of our scientists, a brilliant woman named Dr. Sarah Kim, suggested we stop trying to contain the energy, and instead, channel it, like the difference between holding water in your hands versus directing it through a hose. Turns out, when you compress stellar material to a certain density and release it in a controlled burst, you get something quite spectacular. The displays changed again, showing a demonstration from Earth's testing grounds near Neptune. A small asteroid, no bigger than a city block, suddenly erupted with light brighter than the sun. The beam it produced carved through 3 decommissioned vessels in perfect sequence, leaving molten edges that cooled into glass. We call it Starfire, Marcus explained. Poetic, don't you think? Each of those asteroids you see can produce sustained beams for about 30 minutes before needing to recharge. With 4,000 of them scattered throughout our system, we can maintain continuous fire for, well, longer than your fleet would last. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives stood, sat, or coiled in shock, their voices creating a cacophony of disbelief and outrage. Corthax raised the appendage for silence, his composed demeanor cracking slightly. You dare threaten the Galactic Council? We represent the combined might of 1,000 civilizations. Marcus's expression finally shifted, the smile fading into something more serious but not unkind. We're not threatening anyone, Supreme Arbiter. We're simply showing you that humanity chooses a different path. You see weakness in our rapid expansion and unconventional development. We see adaptation and innovation. You offer us protection we don't need and restrictions we won't accept. He stood, straightening his simple suit. Your 72-hour deadline is noted, but let me save you the time. Earth formally declines your offer of integration. However, we propose an alternative. Mutual respect and sovereign recognition. We'll establish clear borders, engage in fair trade, and maintain peaceful relations. But we will not kneel. The silence that followed was deafening. No species had ever refused the council and survived. Yet here stood a human, calmly suggesting coexistence as equals. Advisor Threnix was the first to recover. Your asteroid weapons, even if they work as you claim, cannot match the speed and maneuverability of our fleet. We have fought wars for millennia. You have no experience in actual space combat. Marcus's smile returned. That's true. We've never fought a space war, but humans have been fighting each other for our entire existence. We've turned conflict into an art form, studied it, perfected it, and then found ways to avoid it. Every one of those asteroids is operated by an AI trained on millions of combat scenarios, adapted from every military strategy humanity ever conceived, from Sun Tzu to Clausewitz, from Alexander to Eisenhower. We don't need experience in space combat. We have 10,000 years of warfare compressed into algorithms that think faster than any biological mind. He paused at the chamber's exit, turning back to face the stunned council. Your fleet is welcome to test our defenses, but before you do, consider this. We turned rocks and ice into weapons that can harness the power of stars. Imagine what we could create as allies instead of enemies. The choice is yours, but choose wisely. Humanity has learned from its mistakes. We offer our hand in friendship, but we've also prepared for the alternative. The Reckoning. The Council fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. 800 vessels arranged in tactical spheres that had conquered entire sectors. Supreme Commander Vrathan stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Decree, his 6 eyes scanning the tactical displays with practiced efficiency. The humans had been given their deadline. They had refused. Now came the consequence that had befallen every defiant species before them. Initiate long-range scans, Vrathan ordered, his voice carrying the authority of 500 successful campaigns. Identify and prioritize their command structures. The sensor operator, a young Kelvari whose tentacles danced across the controls, suddenly froze. Commander, we're detecting massive electromagnetic interference throughout the system. Something is disrupting our scans. On the main display, Earth's solar system appeared as a swirling mass of static and ghost signals. Thousands of heat signatures flickered in and out of existence, making it impossible to distinguish real targets from sensor echoes. Clever, Vrathan admitted grudgingly. They're using their star's natural radiation, amplified and reflected by metallic particles scattered throughout the system. A primitive but effective sensor screen, his second in command, a crystalline being named Yorath, pulsed with concern. Should we proceed with standard bombardment protocols? Before Vrathan could respond, a communication channel opened. The image of a human appeared, but not Marcus Rivera. This was a younger woman with short black hair and eyes that held an unsettling mixture of amusement and determination. "Commander Vrathan, I'm Admiral Jennifer Chen of Earth Defense Command. I'm required by our laws of engagement to offer you one opportunity to withdraw. You have 10 minutes to begin your retreat." Vrathan's mandibles clicked in what his species considered laughter. "Admiral Chen, your bravado is admirable but misguided. We will take your homeworld within the day. Your asteroid weapons, while creative, cannot hope to match our shields and speed." Chen's expression didn't change. "Commander, are you familiar with human mythology? We have a story about a warrior named David, who defeated a giant named Goliath with nothing but a stone and a sling. The lesson isn't that the weak can defeat the strong. It's that the clever can defeat the arrogant." The channel closed, leaving Vrathan momentarily puzzled. Then the tactical alarms began screaming. "Incoming objects from the asteroid belt," the sensor operator announced. "Count is..." Unable to determine. Hundreds, possibly thousands. "They're accelerating at impossible rates." Vrathan studied the display. The asteroids weren't following ballistic trajectories. They were maneuvering, changing course, adapting to the fleet's position. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Point defense systems online. The first wave of asteroids arrived not as the massive city-sized rocks they expected, but as smaller chunks no bigger than shuttles. They weaved through the defensive fire with impossible agility, and when they got close enough, they didn't explode. They attached. "Magnetically locked projectiles on 40% of our fleet," reported Yorath. "They're not detonating." "What are they doing?" The answer came seconds later. Each attached asteroid began broadcasting on every frequency simultaneously, flooding the fleet's communication systems with what could only be described as chaos. Music, mathematical equations, poetry, screaming, laughter, historical speeches, and pure static all blended into an overwhelming assault on their sensors and communication arrays. "They're blinding us," Vrathan realized. Cut all external communications, switch to light-based signals only. But it was too late. In the confusion, the real attack began. From behind Jupiter, Earth's actual fleet emerged. Not the 200 ships the Council had detected, and not made of wood as Marcus had jokingly suggested. These were vessels unlike anything in the Council's databases. They seemed to be constructed from a flowing, liquid metal that constantly reshaped itself. One moment a ship would be a sphere, the next a knife-edge blade cutting through space. "Programmable matter," whispered Yorath. "They've achieved programmable matter construction." The Earth ships didn't engage in traditional combat. They flowed around the Council fleet like water around rocks, never staying still long enough to target. And then the Starfire began, not from the asteroids as threatened, but from Earth's moon. The entire lunar surface lit up, revealing that humanity had turned their natural satellite into the galaxy's largest weapons platform. Beams of compressed stellar energy lanced out with surgical precision, not destroying Council ships but carefully carving away their weapons and engines, leaving them helpless but intact. Admiral Chen's voice somehow cut through the chaos, broadcasting on a frequency that bypassed their jammed systems. "Commander Vrathan, you're probably wondering why we're not destroying your ships. It's simple. We don't want to. Every life in your fleet is precious, even if you don't see ours the same way." The liquid metal Earth ships began attaching to the disabled Council vessels, not as attackers but as rescue vessels, extending shields to protect them from debris and stabilizing their life support systems. Vrathan watched in stunned disbelief as his mighty fleet was systematically neutralized without a single casualty. "This is impossible. No species has ever developed such technology without centuries of guidance." Chen appeared on his personal display, somehow having bypassed all their security protocols. "That's where you made your mistake, Commander. The Council assumes all species develop along the same path. But humans? We're chaotic. We'll spend resources on art while people starve, then turn around and solve fusion power trying to make better coffee. We're contradictions wrapped in paradoxes, and that's our strength." She gestured, and the tactical display showed the true extent of Earth's preparations. Throughout the solar system, hidden installations revealed themselves. Mars had been hollowed out and turned into a massive shipyard. Europa's ice concealed underwater cities. Even Venus's toxic atmosphere had been harnessed, with floating platforms using the intense pressure and heat to forge materials impossible to create elsewhere. "In 15 years, Chen continued, We transformed our entire system into a fortress, not because we wanted war, but because we knew you would bring it to us. Every citizen contributed. Artists designed our camouflage. Musicians created the chaos broadcasts. Historians studied every battle ever fought to predict your tactics. Even our children helped, because who better to think outside the box than those who haven't learned what the box is yet? The last functional Council weapon system went dark, leaving 800 ships floating helplessly in space. But instead of the killing blow Vrathan expected, something else happened. Thousands of small Earth vessels, no bigger than personal transports, emerged from hiding. They swarmed the disabled fleet, but not with weapons. They carried repair crews, medical supplies, and offerings of food. Marcus Rivera's face appeared alongside Chen's. Commander Vrathan, Supreme Arbiter Korthax, and all members of the Council fleet. This is Earth's true message. We could destroy you, but we won't. We could conquer you, but we don't want to. We simply want to be left alone to grow, learn, and yes, make mistakes. But we also offer something more. The displays throughout the Council fleet showed images from Earth's history. Wars and peace, destruction and creation, hatred and love, all intertwined in a chaotic tapestry that somehow formed a beautiful whole. We offer partnership, Marcus continued. Real partnership, not submission disguised as protection. We've turned asteroids into weapons and moons into fortresses. Imagine what we could build together. Imagine what problems we could solve if instead of demanding conformity, we celebrated diversity. Your 1,000 civilizations have 1,000 ways of thinking. Add humanity's chaos to that mix and we might just surprise ourselves. Vrathan found his voice at last. You would spare us after we came to destroy you? Chen laughed, a sound that somehow conveyed both strength and warmth. Commander, humans have a saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. But we have another saying we like better. The best way to destroy an enemy is to make them a friend. Your choice. Back in the Council chambers, Korthax watched the feeds in silence. The greatest fleet in the galaxy's history had been defeated without a single death. The humans hadn't just won a battle. They had changed the very nature of warfare itself. Advisor Threnix coiled nervously beside him. Supreme Arbiter, what are your orders? Korthax was quiet for a long moment, his ancient mind processing what he had witnessed. Finally, he spoke. Contact Ambassador Rivera. Tell him Earth has earned its sovereignty, and ask if their offer of partnership is genuine. On Earth, in a simple office overlooking the Pacific Ocean, Marcus Rivera smiled as he received the message. Dr. Sarah Kim, the inventor of Starfire, sat across from him, sipping coffee from a mug that read, World's okayest astrophysicist. Think they'll actually work with us? She asked. Marcus leaned back in his chair, watching the sun set over the water. They will. They have to now. We've shown them that diversity isn't weakness, it's strength. That chaos can create as easily as it destroys. And most importantly, we've shown them that humans, for all our flaws, would rather build bridges than burn them. Even if we're really good at burning things, Sarah added with a grin. Especially because we're good at burning things, Marcus agreed. The most dangerous human isn't the one who knows how to fight. It's the one who knows how to fight but chooses not to. As Earth's sun dipped below the horizon, the 800 ships of the Council fleet began their journey home. Repaired and upgraded with human technology, they carried with them not just a treaty, but a new understanding. That sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when not to use it, and the greatest victory is turning an enemy into an ally. The galaxy would never be the same.